Hello friends. Operational situation at the front on the 12th of February. We will start with you with Avdeevka. So there is an update on the situation in the area. We have said that there were attacks by Russian troops both north of Avdeevka and west of the settlement. So well, I must say that we do not fix any changes. This is the first moment. But the fact that the attacks of Russian troops are carried out close to the settlement remains. So, according to the visual part, we do not record any changes, that is, the enemy still controls and tries to attack from the forest area in the direction of the Avdeevka itself, but it is possible to repel these attacks. Therefore, we do not record any changes visually. But nevertheless, if we are talking about today, these attacks are more distracting, since the main efforts based on the fact that the enemy continues to accumulate its forces in one of the sites. Specifically, this is Lower Tuvan. That is, in order to continue active offensive actions in the area of Avdeevka, Starch, to continue or rather. Therefore, these attacks are more of a distraction. At the same time, we do not record any new changes in the Avdeevka Starch itself. To date, the fighting is of a positional nature, except that, I repeat, the enemy continues to accumulate forces and prepare for a new breakthrough in this sector of the front. Where will it be? Well, most likely, it will try to advance from the area between Avdeevka and Kotlyárovka, as we talked about before, because there is also its activity from Orlianka to Ivanivka, and also an attempt, so to speak, to bypass a number of settlements, to surround them. But this is the worst-case scenario, and, in my opinion, in the near future, Russian troops will definitely not be able to implement such a thing. In any case, they will exert pressure on this sector of the front. In the Lyman direction, we will discuss 2 points here. These are Yar Laptev and Yar Nir. We'll start with Yar Laptev. There is an adjustment according to the situation. We had a number of points to clarify. I stayed. Most likely, Russian troops could have left about this area. It is in a gray zone, because all the attacks were, as we said, in the eastern part already, on the positions of Russian troops from drones, and their presence was recorded. But according to today's footage, which was published by our AFU fighters, it means that the enemy is still present, and is present in the central part. As the fighters themselves report in their telegram, about 200 meters remain to their advanced positions. Therefore, here we have added a clarification of the red zone, which is why, unfortunately, they are present. As for the middle Yar, there is also an adjustment here. The APU, as you remember, counterattacked about a few days ago, and withdrew Russian troops from a number of positions, preventing them from gaining a foothold in the southeastern part of the Yar. Well, at the same time, there were shots of the presence of the APU along the forest belt, which is south of the Yar itself. Therefore, a zone of control by the APU is added here. At the same time, we see that the enemy does not slow down, based on what we see in the area of the Laptev Yar, that is, once he has hooked on it, he will continue these attacks from it, and on the near Yar, as far as it will be possible for him in this period of time. Therefore, active hostilities continue with variable, as we see, success on both sides. Serebryansky Forest, fighting continues without any changes, according to Belagorovka. If we talk about new shots, everything remains within the red zone. It is more armored vehicles that the enemy has been working on this sector of the front for the last 24 hours, but we do not record any changes. In the Bakhmut direction, in the Yar direction, let's start right away on the northern flank. Bogdanovka. We have said that the enemy. It remains, first of all, that we have a crossroads to clarify. The enemy is attacking according to the new information that we have today along the railway. I said this yesterday, but today, there are a number of reports that they are attacking just at the intersection. Well, or simply put, here is the platform of the railway station Valyanovka. There is one room there, but nevertheless the enemy attacks in this direction. That is, an attempt to move along, I would say, the forest belts, to cling to them. At the same time, activity in the area of the Popovsky Forest is also present. On both sides, the Ukrainian armed forces are taking all measures to push back Russian troops from a number of positions. Combat work continues in this sector of the front. The situation is very, very difficult, I would say, but controlled. We do not record any new changes between Ivanovo and Kleshivka. We are moving to the Avdeevka direction, the northern flank. So, yesterday we talked about the tasks. We added a small area on yesterday's evening broadcast, because it was reliable information on dachas, and a little south of the Garden Association. We then said that Russian troops were carrying out assault operations at garages, because garages are pits for cars, that is, the same basement premises. Therefore, this is an important part for them, where they can catch on, gain a foothold, naturally in those basements, in the pits. Well, today there are changes in the front section with a width of up to 915 meters, to a depth of up to 200 meters. Most of the Garden Association came under the control of the enemy. But this is still information for yesterday, because we said it yesterday on the daytime broadcast, and on the evening broadcast, that there is information from one of the Ocinters, who also directly receives information from fighters from the front. Well, they outlined to him about this picture. So it's for yesterday, but yes, the enemy has advanced, as well as Timiryazevo Street and agricultural machinery. There is also an enemy advance along these streets. Now there is fighting here, of course, in the area of the carpool, and the enemy is attacking from several directions here. This is from the area of the Dacha village, and from the area of Timiryazev streets. Therefore, the situation is very, very difficult. As for the new reports, that they are approaching close to Industrial Avenue, well, here actually, visually if we look, then yes, the enemy has passed halfway from the railway to Industrial Avenue. At the same time, we have very serious fighting going on along the street of the 50th anniversary of the Axe. We do not record any new changes, but active hostilities continue with varying success, that is, the situation remains dynamic in this area. They are still attacking in the direction of Donetsk Beach, and there were attempts along Lasia Ukrainka Street, and along Chistyakov Street in the direction of the temple. And of course, further attempts in the direction of the station lane to attack from the enemy. The main task for them now in this area is the carpool area, what they are aiming at, what fierce battles are going on for now. At the same time, as you remember, information was received from Tarnevsky that fresh forces had been transferred to the Avdeevka direction. Forbes published an article today. The article, well, let's face it, is not supported by anything yet, but they report that the third assault was transferred to Avdeevka. She is one of the most combat-ready brigades, very experienced, it should be noted, and motivated. Therefore, well, if this is the case, we will, as they say, look, because they have quite serious experience in conducting combat operations. In any case, today we state such a situation on the northern flank. We are moving along the southern flank. So, yesterday we commented with you that north of the Tsurs hunting complex, along Sobornaya streets without any changes. However, we have changes to the south of these positions. So, in the direction of the Garden Association, it is called both vineyards, and agrochemist, but this is not the point. The enemy advanced on a front section up to 450 meters wide to a depth of 300 meters. We have already said that for them, this is a potential site where they will be. For them, this is a potential site on which they will bet. Why? Because again, the basements, which give them the opportunity to catch on, and gain a foothold, and this subsequently makes it possible to bypass the zenith air defense positions, are a very serious fortified area. And accordingly, the activity from the experienced. We said there were attacks. To date, there is an adjustment. It means that here, on a front section up to 1 kilometer wide, they advanced to a depth of up to 450 meters along the forest belt. The situation for yesterday, the situation for today. In other words, in principle, this is what we talked about earlier. In order not to storm one of the most serious positions in the Avdeevka direction, A lot has been said for her in general for this position. She was holding back really large forces. Since February of the 22nd year, the Russian forces. There were a lot of attacks in this area from the enemy, as you remember, from the Spartak district, and offensive actions on the experienced, then from the experienced just the same to this position. And it was decided, as we see, to bypass this position, that is to interrupt the supply. Not so much to take it in a short time, as to interrupt the supply, that is, logistics, and accordingly, to surrender. This is the enemy's idea, but again, we are voicing the worst-case scenario. We will see how it will actually be, because now we are saying that there are very, very serious battles going on. And from the Afu side, I repeat, in any case, Tarnavsky has information that fresh forces have been transferred. Well, they are really thrown, that is, they are not just words. Therefore, active hostilities in the near future, very active, fierce in the near future, are expected on the Avdeevka whole sector of the front. This is the situation we have on this section of the front and move on. On May Day, we did not fix any new changes. For a number of positions, the situation remains to be clarified. But here too, the enemy is pressing. Everything is also moving in the direction of the central part of the settlement, along Ravnaya Street. And there are also attempts to move along Voroshilev Street. But if there was a development along this street to the south, now it is a road with, well, not much, and such a dense forest belt. Therefore, the main part of the fighting takes place along the Pereshatravn Street, as well as in the river area. There are also attempts on the part of the enemy to advance, not only in the locality, but also in the area of the dried-up riverbed. There are also a number of moments, as we had, for example, in the Izmailovsky Stavka area, when they bypassed and the WAV operators were present in this area, and then the transfer of additional forces. Attacks in the direction of tomorrow. They are trying to implement approximately the same picture, further along the locality, bearing in mind that along the dried-up riverbed, of course, it will all be the northern river, their positions are advanced. Well, and strengthen the pressure on the locality, from two directions. Vostok-Novodevelsky. We do not record any new changes, the positional nature of the fighting, as well as in the area of Georgievka. But unfortunately, there is something to comment on the victory. Footage from the enemy side was published. He carried out assault operations, reaching therefore, the position of the eastern victory, along the forest belt. So both a red zone was added on a section up to 650 meters wide to a depth of 500 meters, and a gray zone. The situation today looks something like this. We can also see the pressure on this sector of the front. At the same time, the footage was published from our side, which means that the enemy's position was destroyed by fire. We see that he is still attacking from the Marinka itself, in the direction of an abandoned field reservoir, approximately in this area at the T-shaped intersection. But they managed to repel the attacks. But as for the victory, here, of course, things are a little worse so far. But in any case, it must be stated that the enemy now has an advantage. And as I told you yesterday, before the elections in the Russian Federation, even before the inauguration, they will carry out offensive actions very, very strongly. That is, they will use their reserves, equipment, ammunition, and so on, to the maximum. Therefore, we need to prepare that there will be a lot of negative news during this period. I would say so. But this is my opinion. There have been no new reports on Novomikhailivka, except that there are active hostilities on both sides. And you are also conducting counterattacking actions on this sector of the front, so the situation remains for further clarification. But the sector of the front is quite difficult, let's say very difficult, because the enemy came from several sides. This is the main difficulty. At the same time, it involves a lot of tactical aviation, namely aerial bombs. Recently, as you can see by the fighters themselves, I complain about this, but this is the stake. So we have a very difficult situation, precisely because of the enemy's tactical aviation. Someone reports that it would be possible to tighten the air defense system to the front, well, or to transfer the front line. With the front line in general, our air defense is not so good, we would need to tighten up. But here the situation is a little different. We have already officially had statements about the same Shaheds, that they have been modernized and so on and so on. And therefore, the number of downings we have now is less in percentage terms, that is, someone they're voiced up to 30% downed. There is such a moment by 30% less, but what was said is that air defense ammunition is needed, so there are difficulties with this. It very much depends on the West, on how much they transmit, on how long they transmit, on the help, especially from the United States, that there will be a vote. A lot of things depend on this. Therefore, now, of course, the Russian army takes advantage of the moment when there are problems with supplies, namely missiles, as official sources reported, by using their tactical aircraft. Therefore, this is the difficulty. In other directions, the Veliko-Novoselkovskaya, Orekhovsky section of the front, and Krinky, without any changes in the positional nature of the fighting. Until the evening broadcast, be healthy. Glory to the assembled forces of Ukraine.